dynamiccardstore.com to get the cards, icons, legends aiming at the stars. Hursty at checkout to save you plenty. Now your bank account won't be staying empty. Dynamiccardstore.com. Use code Hursty. Go on.
Hey there guys, welcome back to Hursty Games and welcome to another FIFA 21 pre-game squad builder. Now this is a team that I think will look mighty gosh darn good at the start of FIFA 21. But I'm not going to sit there and lie to you and say I think this is a low budget team. I think it's a low to mid budget team, and that's mainly because of a handful of players. Purely because I think one of the players I've got in there, well actually probably two of the players I've got in there are just going to be a little bit pricey because of their rating, and two of the players in there I think are going to be a little bit pricey because they look very meta for an early game card. So this is a low to mid range team, but one that I think looks really good, and it's a 3-league hybrid, so I think that's pretty tasty. I'm pretty proud of myself to have made a hybrid already, seeing as all the cards aren't out yet. But without further ado, let's get into this team. Let's have a look at this very cheeky, early, mid to low range hybrid team. Let's go. Okay, so here we are back on the trusty Footbin website. Things you love to see. We are going to run with the 4-3-2-1 formation for this team. We're going to start off in goal with a certain Mr. Man, a certain Mr. Steve Mandanda. He is going to be our keeper. He is one of the players I think is going to be slightly more expensive just because of his rating. 83 rated at the start of the game is actually a pretty good rating. So realistically, I think this guy is going to be a little bit more expensive than we'd like to see. But I don't think he's going to be too bad. But regardless, I think Mandanda will be really good for a lot of starter teams. So hopefully he's good in game. Otherwise, we'll have to look at a different French keeper. But next to him, we're going to go with a player who is going to get a nice strong link to him, and that is Diallo. I think his card looks pretty darn good for a starting card. I don't know what, but again, a lot of these players, I'm having to do a little bit of guesswork as to what their prices are going to be at the start of the game, because we don't know. But I think a lot of these players are players we could pick up if you've got the 3 early access for a little bit cheaper than normal. And hopefully, this will be an example of that card. Good pace, good defense, good physicality for a starting centre-back. And next to him, we're getting a nice strong link, and we're going for Kamara. So it's a nice green link here. So these guys get all the links to each other that they need to be on chemistry. And Kamara, pretty good looking for a left-back. 88 pace, which is decent. Defensive physicality, not the highest. Physicality, I think, is okay, realistically. Defense, just a tad low. So maybe we want to boost that with a bit of a chem style. Maybe something like a backbone would be nice and good early on. Up that passing level as well. Get it 70 plus passing. But realistically, I think these guys look like really good cards. And I hope will be good for the start of the game as well. On the other side, this is where we go into our second league. We're going into the Prem. We've got Kurt Happy Zuma. He is going straight in there with those French links, gets him a nice bit of soft chemistry, as he's got one more link as well to get him a nice bit of perfect, or like 10 chemistry I should say. But not the quickest of cards, but defensively and physicality looks really good. It kind of offsets that Diallo being nice and quick with not quite as high defensive and physicality stats, whereas Zuma's an absolute beast, but a bit of a slower beast. But I don't think that's the end of the world. I think his card looks very good as it is, with pace not being quite as important by the looks of things this year. Hopefully 6-7 pace for a centre back is not too bad. But next to him, I'm sure a lot of you already worked it out, we go with Rhys James. 80 pace on a right back isn't the highest, but I don't think his card looks bad. I think it actually looks like a half decent little card, very well rounded, with 72 plus on passing, dribbling, defense and physicality. So I think the 80 pace looks okay in that regard, because the rest of his card looks pretty darn decent around it. But honestly, I think this card looks like an absolute beast. I think it'll be really good. And that back line, I think for a first week kind of looking game, I think you're looking good. I think that team really does look good. So I highly recommend that as a starting look. But now we're going to get into the midfield, and these are 3 players that I think are going to be a little bit pricey. 2 because they look pretty meta, and 1 just because of the rating. So we'll start from the left-hand side, and this guy, I'm sure a lot of you have seen. This guy's card looks very good. Llorente is an absolute beast-looking card. 84 pace, 81 dribbling, 82 physicality, and then the other stats around it being 74 shooting, 79 passing, and 78 defense. This guy looks like the perfect early game card. He really does. I think you're going to see this guy a lot, but I do think he's going to be pricey because he looks very meta. Now, realistically, until we start the game, do we know what the meta is? Not exactly, but this card is so well-rounded, it pretty much means he's going to fit whatever meta there is. I think he looks like a very good usable card, and one that I hope to use at some point. So this team, honestly, this team I'm building, I wouldn't suggest it if I didn't think I would want to use it. And realistically, I think I'd want to use this team because I think it looks very, very good indeed. Next to him is a player that's expensive because of his rating. It's an 84 rated card, and that is Isco coming straight in. And although his card doesn't look great, right, I think everyone's going to see, 68 pace, 59 physicality. Okay, but 82 passing, 89 dribbling. I've heard dribbling is very, very important this year. I've spoken to some people that have played the beta, and although the beta is not the final article, it's a very good suggestion of what the game is going to be very similar to or like. Now, if people say dribbling is going to be a big part of the meta, then I believe it. And 89 dribbling on a card at the start of the game is going to be phenomenal, very usable, and very, very helpful to your team. So I think Isco could be a bit of a... I think because of the pace, he'll be a little bit cheaper than most people would expect. But realistically, if you put something like a Hawk onto that, you're looking at 75-ish pace. You're probably looking at near 80 shooting and, 65-ish physicality as well. The only thing that would potentially kill his card is if he's got awful stamina. If he's got awful stamina, then that would ruin this card. But again, until all of the cards are out, the best I can do is work with what I've been given. So that's what I've tried to do here with Isco. He's not the perfect player that I'd love to put in there, but I do think his card genuinely looks good enough to throw in there and see if he'll be any good. And next to him, a player that's going to get him a nice bit of chemistry as well is a certain Mr. Valverde, who, just like the Llorente, although he's not the highest rating, 83, combined with the fact his card looks very, very usable, I do genuinely think this card is going to be a little bit pricey. His card, if you compare it like stat for stat with Llorente, apart from pace, is actually worse. Pretty much. Same shooting, less passing, less dribbling, less defense, less physicality, but +2 pace, and he's 1 rated higher. Who knows? I don't get how that works. But again, that Llorente's higher rated stat-wise than the blooming 87 Fabinho, so who knows what's going on. But Valverde, I think, will be a perfect addition to that team. Llorente and Valverde as 2 CDMs, I think you're laughing. I really, really do. I think those 2 cards will look fantastic. Both the ability to play box-to-box if they need to with Isco in that central camp spot. I think you're looking like an absolute treat there. So that, as a midfield 3, I think the midfield is by far the strongest part of the team if you look at Llorente and Valverde. But adding Isco into it, I think it makes it still a very good midfield. The pace, not ideal, but hopefully the stamina is okay. That's the one thing with that. Now, the front 3, I think, is actually probably going to be one of the cheapest parts of this team. I seriously do. I picked 3 players that I think look decent, but I don't think are going to be the most expensive. So, first of all, I've gone with Ansu Fati on the left. Now, there are plenty of players you can put here. To get Llorente on the chem, they either have to be Spanish or they have to be from Atletico Madrid. Now, there's plenty of players that fit both those options, but I think Ansu Fati looks like a decent card with a little bit of chemistry, a bit of a chem boost. I think it would be perfect, but regardless, I think this card is good enough to rock into a starting team. And again, I think it helps us make this a low to mid, because realistically, you need a couple of cheaper players in there, like the Diallo, kind of like Zuma. I think he'll allow that perfectly, and I think he'll look like a really, really usable early card. I think he'll be given good weak foot. I think he'll be given good skill moves. So hopefully, if he's given a half decent and usable sort of skill and weak foot mixture, then I think this is a very good early card. Otherwise, you're looking at a slightly more expensive, like Carrasco is going to be a little bit pricier. You've got people like Asensio. I think they're all going to be a little bit much. Oyezabal, or how do you say his name? Oyezabal. I don't know how you say his name. That guy, you know what I mean. He's got an 84 rated card this year, so I think his card looks pretty good. But I think he's going to be pricey because of the rating, which is why I went with Ansu Fati. And on the right-hand side, I've gone with a certain Mr. Where is he? There he is, Rodrigo. I think Rodrigo looks to have a decent card again this year. Very good for the early part of the game. And again, because he's Real Madrid, he gets Valverde on chemistry. The only other option was to have a Uruguayan right wing from the Liga Santander. I don't know how many of those there are. There could be some, but they've not been released just yet for 21. But I think Rodrigo, much like Fati, is going to be probably a bit more expensive than Fati will be, but I think he's got a good usable card, and I realistically see a lot of people trying to start him off in a lot of starter teams. But because he's got a bit of a lower rating, because his shooting isn't perfect, I think that might help his price in the 3-day early access at least go down a little bit. I think it's a card that will shoot up on the 9th, and from the 6th, 7th, 8th be that little bit cheaper. So realistically, I think Rodrigo could be a fantastic pickup for your club if you're looking to bring him in. And the last man, the striker, I think is one of the most underlooked cards at the start of this FIFA 21, like all the stats and rating reveal we've seen so far. This card looks like a beast for a non-rare 79 rated card. This guy looks insane. 82 pace, very good shooting, good dribbling, okay physicality. I think this card could be really good, and I honestly, as long as they don't mug him off again with a weak star and skill move, at least 8 stars across those two would be perfect, but I have a horrible feeling we're going to see a 6 or 7 star combo. But realistically, I think this guy could be very, very good. So hopefully he's not mugged off with the rating. But in this squad, the way I've built that, the striker can be anyone from the Liga Santander. So if you've got a player that you think looks slightly better, then you could run with different people. For argument's sake, we can have a little look now and just see who else kind of fills into that in regards to, you know, sticking to a budget. So Inaki Williams looks half decent. It's very, very quick. João Felix, if you like the look of him, you've got him there as well. You've also got Jovic, who you could run with. If you're looking to spend a bit more, you've got someone like Aspas. Obviously, he's a bit higher rated, but so far those are like all the players we've actually had revealed to us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just stick with Isaac, I think, for now, because he's the player that I initially have written down in my head and the person I would like to see. But I think this team looks really good. I like the look of it. Hopefully you guys like the look of it too. If you do, then please do leave a like on the video. It's greatly appreciated. Let me know your thoughts. If any of these players you think you can maybe tweak with somebody else. Obviously, at the time of recording, I'm using the players that are currently available for me to see from the FIFA 21 database. By the time this is uploaded, there could be plenty more players that have come out, and all that means is I get to build more squads and show you guys and share my thoughts with you all. But thank you very much for watching this. Again, hopefully you enjoyed it. Please sub if you're new to the channel, and make sure you turn on notifications to be told anytime that we upload a video or indeed go live with a live stream. For now, guys, I want to say thank you very much for watching. I've been Tom. You guys have been awesome, and I'll see you soon. Look after yourselves, and of course, wash your hands. In a bit.
Now his name is Hursty. Slap bald head, yeah, it'll probably hurt me. Bang top bins, it'll probably hurt you. Ginger, streamer, platform, YouTube. Drop a name in the chat, or say hello. Entertain, yeah, you already know. Capital H, yeah, I'm a read it slow. Hursty games, yeah, you already know.